The latest statement on the Bastille High School following the start of demolition of the controversial and abandoned facility came when Minister of Education Dr. Jeffrey Hanley gave an update in the 15th December sitting of the National Assembly. According to Dr. Hanley, every effort is being made to ensure that the procedures performed at the site leaves no doubt that the location is safe for children and teachers when the new facility is completed.
Everything is already down, and they're now digging down 6 feet, taking out everything, because we are going to make sure, Madam Speaker, that we do it right. And in doing it right, Madam Speaker, we must ensure that we remind the general public that it's 10 years that we have deprived, our governments in the past would have deprived, or the last government would have deprived our students. And we are committed to deliver a Bastille High School, and much was said about our CBI program, but we will get the Bastille High School, so that means, Madam Speaker. And it will be a state-of-the-art school, I was told. Almost it will be a college campus. None like it in the Caribbean. And I am pleased, Madam Speaker, and we had the opportunity of meeting with the student body, representatives from the management team at the Bastille High School, teachers. They shared their ideas, their vision of what they would want the school to look like, and we engaged our local architects. I remember speaking about it in this house. Any designer, any architect who has an interest in what they think the Bastille High School can look like, you can visit the Ministry of Education, and we provided them with information from the last Bastille High School that was supposed to be built on the aquifer and what they were offering, to see what we can add to that, because there's no need to reinvent a wheel when you have a wheel. But Madam Speaker, in the social media at times try to mislead the general public, and there are some who have their own personal agenda. But I'm not certain if it was ever done, but I want to present or lay in this honorable house the final report from Karari. This was one of the institutions or the experts that we brought into St. Kitts when we had the flare-up at the Bastille High School. I will not say that everything was perfect, but certain, Madam Speaker, when I peruse this report, it was a clear indication that the loud noise was not really the truth.
The Bastille High School site was abandoned after it became central to health and political disputes. Then Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Adrian Justin Bart of Cabbage Tree Keon, St. Kitts, has been sentenced to serve 3 years and 6 months in His Majesty's prison for the offence of indecent assault. The criminal act was committed on July 3, 2019, against an 11-year-old female in the area of Upper Keon. According to police, His Lordship Justice Ian Morley, KC, handed down Mr. Bart's sentence on December 12, 2023, at the High Court in Bastille. Meanwhile, police have charged a 23-year-old Shamari Hanley, alias Jellyman of Shadwell, Bastille, on 2 warrants for the murders of 29-year-old LaQuaine T. James and 24-year-old Kevin Collins, both of Upper Monkey Hill, St. Peters. The offences were committed on November 22nd in Upper Monkey Hill, St. Peters. The charges were laid on December 13th at the Bastille police station. In other police news, Ira Maynard of Pitcairn Street in Newtown has been sentenced to His Majesty's prison for the offence of manslaughter. The offence occurred on July 5, 2019 and resulted in the death of Devis Manners. Initially charged with murder, Mr. Maynard pleaded guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to serve 15 years in prison. His sentence was handed down on December 13th by His Lordship Justice Ian Morley, KC, at the High Court in Bastille. In another report of manslaughter, the police have formally charged a 17-year-old male for the offence of manslaughter. The criminal act was committed on December 10th in Phyllis's Village on St. Kitts and resulted in the death of 42-year-old Chelston T. Harvey, alias Inc. The juvenile was charged on December 13th at the Violent Crime Unit Office, Stanford Building in Bastyr. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
From all of us at the Ramada St. Kitts Resort, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Introducing St. Kitts and Nevis's newest TV channel, Television Caribbean, TVC Channel 40 on the cable's Ultra TV. TVC promises to deliver the finest in television broadcasting in St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean, with some of the best local programs in news, sports, and entertainment. Join us for Insights, where we delve into the lives of our guests.
Let me see what happens if I put this to it. Big explosion, like, okay, note to self, don't do that again.
Or get in-depth analysis on Newsline 360. We have sports, entertainment, and inspiration. It's all here on TVC Channel 40 on the cable's Ultra TV, on TelTV Cable Network in St. Martin, and on our website www.tvcplus.live. TVC Channel 40. See the difference.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Get ready for a dazzling showcase of talent, intelligence, and beauty at the 41st edition of Haynes Smith Miss Caribbean Talented Teen. Join us on December 30th, 2023 at 8 p.m. sharp at the St. Kitts Marriott Hotel. Experience the brilliance of delegates from the Caribbean nation, including Mr. Kyla Hart Johnson, representing St. Kitts and Nevis. Our special guest host, comedian Fat Man George from Grenada. Power pack performances by Soca Super, Lucas H.E., along with other local and regional performers, accompanied by the Greenhouse Band. Get your tickets fast for $80 EC before December 25th, or pay $100 EC thereafter. Don't miss the chance to watch the show live on sknvibes.com. It's the 41st annual Haynes Smith Miss Caribbean Talented Teen, where stars are born. Special thanks to our major sponsors, First Federal Credit Union, SL Hosford and Company Limited, Open Interactive, and Timothy Beach Resorts. Join us and be a part of this legacy.
Continuing into the 2024 fiscal year, renovative work will continue at the JNF General Hospital as the administration of the facility pursues upgrading sections of the facility. Work is currently being done to sections at the back of the hospital that are in dire need of repairs, to roofings, interconnection corridors, repainting of buildings, renovation to floors, and the replacement of equipment, informed the JNF Hospital Director of Operations, Lindsay Maynard.
We have another project that is ongoing. We are renovating the roof of the morgue, and we are going to do the corridors at the back where the kitchen is and the eye clinic. So what we are trying to do is to give the the domestic area where most of the domestic staff work are facelift. We're going to start with the morgue roof that is ongoing, and then we're going to go towards the corridors to CSSD, the laundry, and the clinic, the eye clinic. Also, the electrical work in the kitchen will be improved, and the floors, we're going to repolish the floors as well, and we're going to change the kitchen doors and the windows and any framework that they have on the outside. And then in 2024, the hope is to create a new scope of work to deal with most of the major renovations in the kitchen and change out most of the equipment that is there.
Okay.
So we did an assessment of the plans, and we realized that there was inefficient lighting here at the back and at the main entrance for the hospital. So we would have reached out to Skelec to see how we can best get the place a little more lit. Not just for aesthetics, but for the safety of the patrons here. And we were able to get them on board, and they donated some of the fixtures for the buildings, but we would have extended the project to get proper lighting installed, like flood lighting, so that the place can be illuminated. And that project is also ongoing. They have already planted the posts, and by Friday this week, they should come and install the fixtures. So by next week, we should have a well-lit parking lot at the front and at the back of the hospital.
The renovation work forms part of the endeavor to have the facility upgraded and accredited. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Businessman Farron Lawrence urged graduates of the Advanced Vocational Educational Center, AVIC, to use their skills and search out new business opportunities in St. Kitts and Nevis, rather than just looking for a job. Mr. Lawrence was the guest speaker at AVIC's graduation ceremony held recently at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort.
Most of us in St. Kitts and Nevis, we get appliances. We get a stove, we get a refrigerator, we have a washing machine, we have a dryer. These are expensive items. But you know what we do? We work them for 3 years, then they're no good, then we have to buy another one. We need a business that can offer maintenance services for appliances. Every 6 months you go into a home, you maintain that appliance. What we see is that those same appliances can last you 10 years with proper maintenance. And it's a business. And that's the best form of business. The best form of business is where you have an established relationship and you go to that person to do that servicing regularly. That's work you have, you can depend on. You don't have to go out to look for new work. Just servicing those persons that are looking for your help. So we have to start thinking outside of the box in terms of finding solutions for problems that everybody are having. I went to an event the other day. It was high day, it was in a tent, and everybody's trying to stand by the door of the tent. It is so hot. Why not rent mobile air conditioned units to these 10 people? The air conditioned units you can pick up, walk with it, so then all those tent rentals can also come with air conditioned rentals.
Meanwhile, Education Minister Dr. Jeffrey Hanley noted that 62% of the trainees who enrolled in the program 2 years ago did not complete in order to graduate.
Over the last 2 years, 138 trainees enrolled in the program, with just 52 trainees graduating with us today. Graduates, I commend you for your tenacity and high level of dedication. Thank you, parents and family members, for supporting them throughout this journey. However, it is imperative that the administration examines the reason why 62% of this cohort did not successfully complete the program. To remain relevant and a viable option for our citizens, AVEC must engage in periodical self-examination and assessments. It must hold to its policy, which is geared towards understanding the industry's needs and making sure of the alignment between its skills development programs and the industry priorities.
There were also addresses from AVEC's management and Ambassador Michael Lin, Resident Ambassador of Republic of China, Taiwan. 52 trainees graduated from AVEC this year. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
From all of us at the Malice St. Kitts Resort, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Introducing St. Kitts and Nevis's newest TV channel, Television Caribbean, TVC Channel 40 on the cable's Ultra TV. TVC promises to deliver the finest in television broadcasting in St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean, with some of the best local programs in news, sports, and entertainment. Join us for Insights, where we delve into the lives of our guests.
Let me see what happened if I put this to it. Big explosion, like, okay, note to self, don't do that again.
Or get in-depth analysis on Newsline 360. We have sports, entertainment, and inspiration. It's all here on TVC Channel 40 on the cable's Ultra TV, on TelTV Cable Network in St. Martin, and on our website www.tvcplus.live. TVC Channel 40. See the difference.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Get ready for a dazzling showcase of talent, intelligence, and beauty at the 41st edition of Aim Smith Miss Caribbean Talented Teen. Join us on December 30th, 2023 at 8 p.m. sharp at the St. Kitts Marriott Hotel. Experience the brilliance of delegates from the Caribbean nation, including Mr. Kyla Hart Johnson, representing St. Kitts and Nevis. Our special guest host, comedian Fat Man George from Grenada. Power pack performances by Soca Super, Lucas H.E., along with other local and regional performers, accompanied by the Greenhouse Band. Get your tickets fast for $80 EC before December 25th, or pay $100 EC thereafter. Don't miss the chance to watch the show live on sknvibes.com. It's the 41st annual Haynes Smith Miss Caribbean Talented Teen, where stars are born. Special thanks to our major sponsors, First Federal Credit Union, SL Hosford and Company Limited, Open Interactive, and Timothy Beach Resort. Join us and be a part of this legacy.
Meanwhile, the presidents of Venezuela and Guyana have met in the Caribbean for talks that may de-escalate tensions and resolve their country's long-standing and now reheating territorial dispute. According to officials, both the nations have agreed not to use force to settle their border disputes. According to the Guyanese President Irfan Ali, both the sides are committed to ensuring that their region remains peaceful.
We are a peace-abiding country and people.
Somos un país y pueblo.
We have no other ambition
Y no tenemos otra ambición
than to pursue the peaceful coexistence
sino de proseguir la convivencia pacífica
with Venezuela
con Venezuela
and every country in this region.
Disagreement over the 160,000 square kilometers jungle region in Essequibo has run for decades, but Venezuela has revived its claim recently. And this after major oil and gas discoveries. According to Venezuela, the Essequibo region has been part of its territory since the Spanish colonial period. The dispute is now before the International Court of Justice, though a final ruling could be years away. Voters in Venezuela this month have rejected the court's jurisdiction and backed the creation of a new state in a referendum. On the other hand, Guyana has questioned the vote's turnout and said its land border is not up for discussion. During the meet, President Ali wore a bracelet showing a map of Guyana that includes the Essequibo and has reiterated that the dispute must be solved through the ICJ.
As countries grapple with getting rid of the sargassum seaweed which arrives on their shores, sinking it deep in the ocean is being considered as a possible option. But what are the potential impacts of this possible solution on deep-sea ecosystems and environments? This is what a project to evaluate the effects of seaweed sinking in the Caribbean, or Sea-Sink, will be seeking to determine.
It is about how do we treat to the sargassum, how do we treat to removing CO2, and it's all about compacting it, testing it, and putting it into areas of the ocean that have never been even explored before. So this is extremely scientific. It is a pioneering work. And what we did here today was not only to tour the ship, but to examine some of the samples that were done in this particular area and to make sure that there will be no damage to the marine environment.
Principal marine geoscientist with the UK's National Oceanography Centre, Dr. Christopher Pearce, says the project, a first for the Caribbean, will also be exploring seaweed sinking as a means of tackling climate change.
And carbon dioxide is the greenhouse gas that's driving climate change. So if we can bury away this seaweed in the bottom of the oceans, it will potentially lock away some of the carbon dioxide for hundreds of thousands of years. So it's potentially a win-win scenario of dealing with the sargassum inundation and helping to tackle climate change. But before we can really take this forward, we have to understand what the effects are on those deep-sea communities. And does it actually stay down there? Does it dissolve or degrade in a way that we just don't know yet?
Director of the Coastal Zone Management Unit, Dr. Leo Brewster, believes it will help in the development of the Marine Spatial Plan. He also hopes it creates avenues for more research to be done by Barbadians.
We do have a local person on board who was on board for the duration of the trip to actually get first-hand experience in aspects of deep-sea marine research. Okay, so there will be other opportunities for, in essence, what we will call marine research observers to be on board. But I'm hoping that through the approaches that we can make as a government with the institutions, there may be opportunities for postgraduate study that could then be brokered to look to see how you can do master's or PhD, because we have the whole ocean space that falls to Barbados to research, and it would be good to have Barbadians participating in that level of research.
To date, 2 research sites, one off the west coast and the other on the southeast, have been identified and samples taken. Approximately 20 bales of sargassum will be deployed to the ocean floor in the first half of next year and will be recovered in January 2025 so the necessary tests can be run. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
An historic step. EU leaders agreed to open membership negotiations with Ukraine after intense talks in Brussels. Hungary's leader had threatened to veto the move, but decided to leave the room during the vote, effectively allowing the others to reach a unanimous decision. The deal is a symbol of the bloc's unwavering support for Ukraine and sends a strong message to Russia.
To the people of Ukraine, we are on their side, and this decision made by the member states is extremely important for the credibility of the European Union.
The unity on Ukraine comes in stark contrast to the EU's disunity on the war in Gaza. The conflict continues to divide the bloc, but positions are shifting.
I'm supposed to represent a common position, but there is not a common position.
Borrell's referring to this week's vote at the UN General Assembly. A majority of EU member states backed a ceasefire resolution, including France, Spain and Ireland. More than in the past, but not enough for a united European front. Austria and the Czech Republic voted against it, while Germany abstained. In Brussels, Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar said EU disunity on Gaza is damaging the bloc's reputation.
I think the European Union has lost credibility because of our inability to take a stronger and more united position on Israel and Palestine. We've lost credibility with the global south, which actually is most of the world, because what is perceived to be double standards.
Despite the differences on Gaza, the EU is expected to speak with one voice when it comes to member states being able to impose sanctions on Israeli settlers who commit violence against Palestinians in the West Bank. A move backed by the head of the European Commission on Wednesday. Ursula von der Leyen has been a vocal supporter of Israel.
The rise of extremist settler violence is inflicting immense suffering on Palestinians. It undermines prospects for lasting peace and could escalate regional instability.
As Palestinian civilians continue to be killed or suffer because of Israel's offensive, it is clear that the tone in the EU is hardening and support for Israel eroding. But not enough yet, it seems, to reach the sort of consensus on the conflict seen on Ukraine or help secure lasting peace. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Brussels.
You're live with BBC News. I'm Regini Vaidyanathan. Let's go back to developments in the Israel-Gaza war, and Israel's bombing of the Gaza Strip has continued unabated. In the lead up to a visit on Thursday by America's National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. Well, this was the scene in the town of Rafah this morning. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says Israel's early morning airstrikes have killed at least 19 people. US officials say Mr. Sullivan's expected to call for greater precision in future Israeli strikes on Hamas. There's been growing international criticism of Israel over the number of civilian casualties. And at the UN General Assembly earlier in the week, there was an overwhelming vote in favour of a ceasefire. Well, joining me to discuss all of this a little further is Melanie Ward. She's the CEO of Medical Aid for Palestinians. Thank you for joining us here on BBC News. Melanie, you have contacts with people on the ground. What are you hearing about the humanitarian needs at the moment?
What I'm hearing from my staff on the ground is that every day which passes makes it more and more difficult to sustain human life in Gaza. That's because of the systematic denial of food, water, medicine and fuel to the civilian population in Gaza, including to the hospitals. And it's because of Israel's indiscriminate bombing, which has been killing so many civilians. Soon we will approach the marker where 10,000 children will have been killed by the bombardments from the air. The horrific truth is that aid distribution has largely stopped, including in the south of Gaza, with some limited exceptions. We just can't get in the number of aid trucks that are needed. Myself, Medical Aid for Palestinians, we have 7 trucks that have been waiting for days now to get in, just haven't been able to. Even when they do get in, it's so dangerous because of the ongoing bombing. Staff are unable to get them to people in need. And this morning, we're particularly concerned about the patients in Kamal Adwan Hospital in the north of Gaza in Beit Lahia, which 2 days ago was surrounded by Israeli troops, where there were 65 patients, including 12 children. And we're hearing this morning that hospital staff there are unable even to prepare milk formula for the babies there, some of whom 2 of their mothers were shot dead by the Israelis a couple of days ago. So the situation couldn't be more grim. We're running out of words to use to describe what is happening to civilians in Gaza.
I wanted to ask you about the situation in hospitals before you mentioned it, actually, Melanie, because I was talking to a representative from UNICEF yesterday who talked about how he's visited hospitals that don't even have clean water. By your estimations, how many hospitals in Gaza are able to function even partially now?
There are fewer than 1/3 of hospitals in Gaza that are functioning now, so that's fewer than 12. Even primary healthcare centres have been taken out of action. It's completely impossible to save lives anymore. Ambulances are not functioning. The civil defence, which usually digs people out of the rubble, is unable to do its job. We just can't get supplies into the hospitals that are needed. So really, there are a very tiny number in the south of Gaza that are still providing emergency room services. And as I said, more and more of the hospitals across Gaza have been systematically dismantled by the military action that's taking place. You know, hospitals are supposed to be a haven under international law. They're supposed to be protected. And what we're seeing in this horrific conflict is that they have become battlefields themselves. And for the patients who are there, it's absolutely terrifying. It's also completely unacceptable. And we're unable to sustain human life in this situation. You know, as I said, we've got trucks of medical supplies waiting to get into Gaza. Now, when they do get in, we can't even get them to all of the hospitals in need because the Israelis won't let aid supplies across the front line. There was a convoy a couple of days ago that ran to the north to try to take medical supplies to some of the hospitals. Even it came under fire. And there are desperate people, children, women, people in intensive care who need to be kept alive, and we can't do that. From Kamal Adwan Hospital, we're also hearing this morning that some of the patients have started to die because medical staff were rounded up and detained by the Israeli military.
And Melanie, just briefly before we let you go, is any significant aid crossing from the Rafah crossing into Gaza from Egypt?
Tiny amounts of aid are getting in. Yesterday, 100 trucks got in, but to give comparison, on a normal day in Gaza, before this even started, 500 trucks of supplies were needed every day. So it's a drop in the ocean compared to what's needed. But the main point is that this is not an accident. There are hundreds of trucks queued on the other side of the border waiting to get in, and the Israeli authorities won't allow them in. So there is aid there waiting to reach the people who are in desperate need, who are sleeping on the streets now in Rafah, who have fled, including my own staff, from place to place to place because Israel keeps telling everyone to move somewhere else, and then that place is attacked. So there are aid supplies waiting to get to people, but we are unallowed to reach them at the moment.
OK, Melanie Ward, the CEO of Medical Aid for Palestinians. Thank you very much for bringing us up to date on the situation, particularly in hospitals in Gaza. There's, of course, more on that story on the BBC News website, where we continue to run a live page with all of the latest developments.
The West Indies have a chance to go 2-0 up in their 5-match T20 International Series against England when they play this afternoon at St. George's in Grenada. The match bowls off at 12:30 p.m. Jamaica time. The Caribbean side won Monday's first game at the Kensington Oval in Barbados by 4 wickets. The returning Andre Russell starred with both bat and ball, claiming figures of 3 for 19 and ended up on 29 not out from 14 balls to win the Man of the Match award. Technical Director for Clarendon College, Lenworth Hyde, said his team achieved their objective as they retained the Issa Olivia Shield title, blanking Manning Cup winners Mona High 4-0 at the National Stadium on Wednesday evening. The team put on another classy show to outplay the Craig Butler coached unit. Kaheem Dixon ended his schoolboy football career on a high as he opened the scoring for the Chapelton-based school in the 35th minute. 3 second-half goals then sealed the comprehensive win for Clarendon College. Christopher Hull chipped in with a brace in minutes 84 and 87, while DeAndre Gallimore got the other goal in the 69th minute.
About having a clean sheet tonight. That's why you see we defended so well. The goalkeeper came up trumps. Because from your defend good, I know my team will score. You know, so that was the plan today.
Well, the season was a good one. We worked hard, we prepared hard, we traveled. We got exposure. We came through. We played our game. We played our way. We won our way. And in the end, we had the Olivia Shield. We lost. But you know what? Boys were tired. More power to Lenny and his team. We didn't take our chances. They took theirs. And I'm happy.
Clarendon College lost just once this season when they went down 3-2 to Glenmuir High in the Champions Cup final. And finally, Reggae Boys midfielder Demario Phillips of Mount Pleasant FC narrowly escaped serious injuries after the vehicle he was travelling in was involved in a 3-vehicle collision in Runaway Bay, St. Anne on Wednesday evening. TVJ Sports understands that Phillips, along with 2 other employees of Mount Pleasant, were travelling home from training when the vehicle they were in was struck by a truck that also hit another vehicle. It's understood that the truck did not stop. TVJ Sports understands that everyone involved escaped serious injuries, while Phillips and the 2 other men from Mount Pleasant were treated and released from the St. Anne's Bay Hospital late Wednesday night. And that's it for your midday sports report.